Right. This is, that's three, sorry, third time lucky. This is the third time I've tried to film this video. First time it was about an hour, over an hour long, and just getting prepared, ready to upload it. And I needed to make a few tweaks. So I watched it through, and I hadn't noticed how fucked up the sound was. And I think, oh fucking hell, what a waste of time. And in my head, I was thinking, well, yeah, that's clearly just a one-off. It will be totally the same, it's totally different next time. It will sort of settle itself, work itself out. So I think a few days ago, I tried it again, expecting the sound to be better. It turned out it was just as shit as the first time, and that was an hour and 20-minute video. So I've probably done about 2.5 hours worth of unusable shites. Although, some people might say it was all unusable shites. But, so my standards are pretty low. Actually, yeah. I mean, I even tried to edit out, and the first one, it came down from an hour and 5 minutes to about 45 minutes. But there's still little bits of shitty audio in there, and I was thinking I had to sort of work it out. What was the problem? I did tests. I did sort of reruns, just a little sort of 20-minute videos of just me waffling to the camera, and they were fine. And I think I've come to the conclusion that it was just literally I hadn't put my the USB sort of connector into the back of my Mac properly. Literally, that's the only conclusion I can come to. So forgive me if I feel like I'm repeating myself. I don't look as enthusiastic as normal. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Although it might even work in my favour. It's just sort of the frustration. It's it builds up, and it might be sort of extra motivation to because if it fucks up again, you won't see me for a long time because I would have put my boot through the screen. So yeah, this is a pickups video. I mean, the last go I had, there was a lot more shit. There's a few things I'd even forgotten, so I thought, oh, I'll just scrap that. Clearly, not going to even bother trying to edit out the shitty audio because it was just sort of, it was like electronic low-level buzz that my vocals, my speech would cut out, almost cut out. You could hear me in the background going, but it was generally like a. That was more accurate. That last one, sort of, and no, and I tried to, I could have edited it out, but the first go was actually, it was remarkable how all the really important stuff was almost unaffected. Important stuff. It's all important, surely. But yeah. So, third time lucky. So I mean, after the second go, it was an hour and 20 minutes. I thought, well, that's fucking way too long. So I removed all of the stuff. All the sort of not that any of it's filler, but the less interesting stuff. So most of what's left, film-wise, will be things that are good trading credit. Because again, there's quite a bit of that as usual, but got a bit of retro. So I really wanted to make this video. So I'm quite keen. There's some good stuff as a rule. Good stuff. Some unusual, not unusual, but like things that just you don't see in charity shops anymore. Well, you do, but rarely. And yeah, quite a lot of stuff that I've paid actual money for, which is quite rare for me. I mean, things that I generally online purchases, and you see them and you go, I can't let that go. You have to sort of, it's such sort of the value's so good. It's such a bargain that you have to actually sort of shell out actual money for them. You know, not just like I'm not just sort of digging around in the garbage in charity shops picking up things for pence. You know, this is actual investments. But it has meant that to sort of assuage the guilt. Is that the right term? I think it is. Thinks it is. I think it is. Assuage the guilt. I've had to dip my toes into eBay, and that comes with its own pressures, its own irritants. I fucking hate eBay. I sold a tent. I had a tent. It should have sold quite. Turns out it was quite popular. I didn't know how popular it was going to be. Turns out it was quite popular. I got an offer and sort of accepted it, but then didn't realise that the bloke was in Ireland, and he didn't realise how much he'd have to pay for postage, and he tried to start haggling in the comments in the messages. No, this is how much you have to pay, and then he didn't even know that he'd have to pay for like import fees. Obviously, it's a new thing. So in the end, he agreed to sort of cancel the listing, but which was just okay, not too difficult, but a hassle. And then, so I sold one of my records, good ones, decent ones, and it went for a decent amount. Probably not quite as much as I thought it might have done, but in the end, the buyer got back to me sort of like a few days after I sent it, and because it had turned up, and he said it was warped. Oh fucking hell! This is all these sort of hassles and stresses are the reasons why I don't sort of do eBay more. And in the end, he was decent actually, and he didn't want all of his money back. He just took half because he said it was still playable, but the record was warped because it was a sealed album, a sealed vinyl, and I had no way of telling without opening it up. So he was. I think he was genuine. He could have been a piss taker. He might have just been trying to wrangle sort of like some money off, like a bargain. But I think he was genuine. But yeah. So, and I think I've heard upstairs. I think I've heard some thudding on the floorboards, which is generally my cat will appear. I might have to go and sort him out in a minute. He might appear downstairs. I think I heard some footprints from upstairs, so I might have to go. I'll carry on for now, but now I'm anticipating some movement behind me, which I'll have to go and deal with. So anyway, yeah. So telly's just got fucked. Telly's just knackered. In the last few days, I've sort of noticed a really thick shadow across the bottom of the screen, which I think I've been told was probably a bulb. It's an old LED telly, older, probably 2013, old LED telly, and yeah, it's probably going to cost a bit to replace. Apparently, as I've been told, which is brilliant. I might as well just sort of fuck it and get a new telly. You know, I quite like a new telly. I quite like a new one, but it's just these aren't things I'd budgeted for. You know, I tend to spend most of my disposable income on computer games. There he is. You can see him. Right, just going to sort him out. He's going to need sorting out. So give me a couple of minutes. I'll be back. Right, I've sorted him. I thought I'll deal with him before he goes because that's what he does now because he's nearly 20 and he looks it. He fucking looks it, but he's still going. Still going. But I think he's losing it. He's got this habit of sitting on his own, going meow, meow. Normally, sort of about 7 in the morning, or you know, before he'll wake me up like that. But anyway, yeah. So the telly's fucked. So I'm gonna have to invest in a new one. You know, that's the problem actually. The telly's still totally watchable. I mean, it's just this big, almost like a third. It's like a third of the screen across the bottom is sort of in shadow. I think it's irritating. That's all it is. It's irritating. It doesn't really impinge anything. So, I mean, sort of, how bad does the telly have to be before? What's the minimum for fault for getting a new telly? So I can still watch stuff, and sometimes even forget it's there. You sit down and you put the telly on, watch something, and you go, oh no. But when there's like football, for instance, when there's like a big block of green pitch, or something when it's just one big colour block, you just see this big band right across the bottom, and you think that ain't supposed to be there. And other things, when they pop up, they look white. Things should look bright white, but they're not. They're grey. So, So in the last day or so, I've been looking at new tellies. I've got my eye on one, but then it went out of stock because of fucking Black Friday, Black Monday. Which day is it? It's Friday. Is it Friday? Yeah. Went out of stock, so don't need this. Because I know what's going to happen. I'm gonna sort of obsess over the details, and I want to get sort of as good as I can afford. That's just how my mind works, Because I've discovered that sort of if you buy a cheaper telly, it's almost the cheaper tellies are almost obsolete before you've out the box. It's the new ones that are up to date because the technology moves so quickly. It does, isn't it? It's really annoying. So you buy a cheaper one and it's already redundant, and I don't want that. I want to almost future-proof myself by sort of getting a half decent one that won't be old technology when I take it out of the box. It's just an arseache, isn't it? Yeah. I've got a list of things I've intended to talk about. I've gone back there again. Say, look at all that. Say, look, telly's gone tits up. I talked about eBay, haven't I? No, but the thing with eBay is I find it really stressful. And I watch videos of people who talk about, casually putting stuff on eBay. And I just can't do that. I obsess over all the minor details and getting the best photos as possible. And so that, talking about all the faults so that I can't get sort of pulled up on it afterwards when it's been shipped. It's got to be as packaged as well as possible and stuff like that. I can't just do it casually. I'm quite envious of the people who just go, stick that on eBay. But my brain doesn't work like that. I just sort of, anxiety kicks in. But, I can't be fucked to talk about any of this, or can I? Yeah. I saw Mega Man 3, that Mega Man 3 video? Yeah, that Mega Man 3 video. Just a little mention. I think it wasn't perfect when it turned up. If anyone watched it, this is only relevant to people who've seen it. But the sleeves that came with the box, it turned out they'd been slightly trimmed down. So I've had to put them in one of those smaller PlayStation cases, and it looks all right. But if you take them out, you can see they've been trimmed down because they sort of fall out of the bigger cases, the normal standard cases. So I'm hoping Computer Exchange will take it, otherwise it'll get stuck on eBay. And because of that trimmed down sleeve, maybe collectors wouldn't want it, like anyone watching wouldn't really want it. It's more of a sort of a disc only, so to speak, but it doesn't look too bad in that smaller case. But yeah, and the Tommy video, I think I might have overreacted slightly. Oh shit, I needed that. Got notes for how much I've paid for stuff, because I worry about people not believing how much I've paid for things. Who'd be me, eh? Yeah, that Tommy video, I did look quite pleased, excited, maybe overly excited, and I felt the need to explain myself. That Tommy 2 from Computer Exchange, finally, because that was basically I was excited because that was the aim building up all this credit and really putting it on something really significant, because that's the only way we had to afford sort of certain things like that. And it sort of played out up until that point. It hadn't really worked out quite how I wanted it to, and I think it did. It did. That was at the point where it had worked out as I wanted it to. That's why I got excited. A proper significant title, and then I don't have. That's it. It's there. I don't have to pay any money for it. And up until that point, I didn't want to fritter it away on little bits, and I sort of had, sort of cheaper titles, more affordable titles, here and there. And this is the first time it properly worked out, and so that's why I got excited. I just feel the need to explain myself. But rad. Right, I've got some decent stuff. Finally getting around to it. After all that, it's probably about 15 minutes now, or nearly near 20. But finally onto all the stuff. Don't worry. I'll put a little timestamps in the description box, so it'll be chaptered it'll broken into chapters. Which is good. A whole mix of stuff. What's to start with? I think this is probably the one that the least amount of people are interested in. It's the biggest. Just get out of the way. Charity shop purchase. This will be going to Computer Exchange, and it's good for them because it's a lot of work for them. You'll see. It's a board game. That's why it's a lot of work, because I have to count it, but it's not too much because it's actually unused. It's for a £5, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons, a board game. Is that £5? Yeah, it's unused. But not quite mint because it's got scuffs on the corners. But the thing was, this was a £5. I actually had to go back to it. I saw it in the window, this charity shop, and decided I couldn't be bothered to carry it around. But then sort of discovered how much it was worth credit-wise. And I thought, oh shit! So I'm going to have to go back, and went back the next day, and it was still there. Luckily, it's not so much of an easy sell on eBay. Apparently, they go from about 20 to 40. So, bit of an arse ache. It's not really worth it, but I can get 43 credit for that. And then they're relatively common, so definitely something worth looking out for. Thing is, the actual Computer Exchange price for a good one, graded good, it won't go as mint. I think CEX sell a good one for about 65, so their price is overpriced, but it'd be worth taking to them sooner rather than later, because eventually their prices will find the right level. So, as it is, they've overpriced it, but it does mean that I can get good credit for it. So that was a good sort of £5 investment. Music. I did have 4 CDs, but I've sort of whittled it down. Oh bugger! I've got some vinyl. I've forgotten to bring it. Fuck it. It was an album called I forgot what it's called. It's by Dan Auerbach, the lead singer of the Black Keys. It was his Waiting for a Song. That's it. It's called Waiting for a Song. It's his sort of almost like his Travelling Wilburys tribute album. It's really, really uplifting. It's sort of relaxed, melancholy, but lots of uplifting, joyful songs. Whereas sort of the Black Keys are generally just sort of straight up, pared down blues rock. Like drums and acoustic, not drums, and drums and rock guitar, and sort of distorted vocals. That's pretty much what the Black Keys do, and they're one of my favourite bands. But that album, I'll put a little picture of it, that album, Waiting for a Song, is just a lot more mellow and poppy, and probably more accessible. But for a long time it wasn't available. It wasn't available, and I think there must have been a reprint, because sort of a whole load popped up for sort of about 2/3 of what it generally went for. So I thought I'd pounced on it, and I think it came from America. I was expecting to pay import fees, but I never, for all the stuff I've ever bought from abroad. Not that I do it as much as a lot of people, but I've done it a few times. Touch wood, I've never had to pay import fees, which I'm just lucky, because I know they can be a fucking arseache, can't they? But yeah, a couple of CDs. This was in a local charity shop. Only sort of featured this one because it was 50p, but this is a sort of a £6, £7, £8 CD. It's called Wildflowers by the Avalanches, and I only got it because I know there's one song called Because I'm Me, which I really like. It's sort of it's like basically lots of, it's really sample heavy. They sample sort of a soul music, like classic soul music, and sort of put sort of stuff over the top and remixes, you know. So it's called Because I'm Me. I might even put a link to that. The video's got a little kid in a New York subway like body popping to the woman behind the ticket counter. So it's really, really, really catchy. The album itself, actually, I've discovered, it's not as distinctive as that. They've got a few. Generally, I've got a couple of their albums, and their stuff tends to the singles stand out a mile, and sort of the album tracks less so. This is a really good album from. I watched one of my lockdown go-to shows was Girls on Netflix. No, Now TV. Girls, a bit like I think it's a bit like The Inbetweeners. It's got that vibe where they're a group of four friends. They're four girls, like 20 somethings, mid 20 somethings in New York, and how they're friends, but you get the impression they don't really like each other that much. They're just sort of four disparate characters who have been sort of found themselves as a friendship group, and that reminds me a lot of the way as The Inbetweeners. It reminds me a lot of The Inbetweeners a lot, but I think it's got more depth in it. It's a lot more depth because The Inbetweeners has its own levels, isn't it? And they're both pretty coarse, but this is dirtier. This is like filth. This album was a song on this album was over one of the end credit sequences. It's the band's Broncho. They're called Broncho because I heard their there you go. I heard their lead singer say the band name. I thought they were called Bronco, but the song was called It's On. It's a really fucking catchy tune. It's sort of a punky, but a bit sort of Americana. You'd probably call them hipsters, but I don't like that term because it always feels a bit like an inferiority thing, you know. All the hipsters. But one of their band members does have a moustache, so not that I haven't thought about getting a moustache, but you know, I'm not that cool. I can't carry it off. Sort of all of my sartorial choices are all very much sort of. I'm not in the vanguard, so to speak, second hand. But yeah, really, really, really good album. I like this a lot. Really sort of short, a lot of short songs. Really punky, catchy. A lot of melodies. The vocals reminds me a bit of the Ramones. Almost like a cross between the Ramones and the fucking forgotten. Oh Jesus! What's the point? This video is destined to be shite. But anyway, yeah, it reminded me a bit of the Ramones, but I don't know. Anyway, right, that's them. That's the music. Films. These are all probably more about trading in than anything. Although even films that I trade in, I don't often buy things that I wouldn't watch myself. It's just, you know, value-wise, that's the main reason for getting them. But generally, I will still buy the films that I would watch myself, and all of these I would watch myself. But whether or not I'd ever get round to them, that's probably why I'd trade them in, because you know their trading credit sort of takes precedent, because I probably, like I said, probably not get round to them. This is one I've had before. I think I might even still have it. Not sure I've even traded it in, but I think this was in £1 for two, so it's 50p. This will get you a £5 Decalogue. This is the second copy I've had. Decalogue's basically, like I said, based on the Ten Commandments by Krzysztof Kieslowski, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, based on the Ten Commandments. So this is relatively common. So keep an eye out for this. This is worth a £5 if you ever see anything like this. There's this 1 to 5. There's a 6 to 10, which is probably worth about 150. So this is the one that's worth trading in. Like I said, I would like to watch it, but realistically, I've already got loads that I haven't watched, and I haven't got, so not likely to get around to it. Again, this one, I wouldn't mind keeping it, but again, not likely to get around to it. It's The Adventures of Prince Ahmed by a girl called Lottie Reiniger. Yeah, they're like shadow puppetry animations. Interesting and sort of BFI. So it's one to look out for, but it's not foolproof. That's sort of something I've learned. It's not like a sort of a BFI Blu-ray. Won't necessarily be worth trading in, but I think as it is, this is about £6. I've got my little list there to say that I did note down how much it was worth in trade wise. £6, paid £1.50. That was in the same shop as the Decalogue. There were other things, but they didn't make the cut, so to speak. They're not as interesting as those two, but those two came from the same batch. An individual purchase from a charity shop. This was, I think it was £3. Might have been £2.50. Where are we? £2.50 will get me £7. It's the Eric Romer collection. 8 films. Surprised it's not more than £7 because there's a Blu-ray version of this. Not version, but a Blu-ray Eric Romer collection that would cost you about £140 in computer exchange, and the credit's just sort of £80. It's nuts, but this is a lot more affordable. I know Eric Romer's reputation. I've only ever seen about half of one of his films. Again, there's things that I should watch, but would probably never get around to. I think one I've seen is it's called Pauline at the Beach, and it's basically about a sad lady who goes on holiday on her own. So it's just generally sad on her own on holiday. And the other films are called The Aviator's Wife, A Good Marriage, Full Moon in Paris, The Green Ray, My Girlfriend's Boyfriend, Love in the Afternoon, and The Marquise of O. So you can probably sort of guess the sort of level we're working at, and I'm a bit below that level. Maybe the subtleties are lost on me, but worthy watch. And sort of as someone who likes sort of cinema, and I'm not going to rule out anything, the likelihood is that I probably would never get around to it. So this is for how much I paid, it's a good trader. This one is probably closer to keeping, but was actually on my list because I do have a film list. It doesn't get added too much. I'm going to have to. It's that bloody. So that's better. Why don't I do that to begin with? What an idiot. It's that fucking light behind me. Now you can see me better. Yeah, because I had it propped open. Oh, I need a piss now. There's a bloke with his pants on, lying on the table on the. What fucking hell's that? Yeah, this film, I think this is a 50p job in a random charity shop. It's called The War Game. This will get me £9 credit. It's basically a documentary of a fictionalized account of nuclear bombs dropping on Britain. And as grim as that sounds, so meant to be really good, but tempted to keep it, but I don't think I'm going to because that £9, as usual, as always, is calling my name. So yeah, but it looks depressing, and I think it is. Right, 4 Blu-rays. I'm going to whiz through these because these are just all keepers of films that I enjoy. Deadpool, I love this film. It's one of my favourite Marvel films. I do generally like the Marvel films. Only really the Thor films. I like Ragnarok. Thor films. Maybe there's one or two other films. Maybe the Spider-Man ones. I don't know. I'm not massively into, but I just like all the breaking the fourth wall stuff, all the postmodern stuff in the Deadpools. I like the joke where he has his anchor off and it starts growing back. And I like what he stands for. I like the fact that he sort of. Are there any jokes about sort of him not being an Avenger? Because he wouldn't fit the Avenger sort of image, would he? I'm guessing that's a sort of there would be jokes about that sort of thing in the Deadpool films, because he just wouldn't quite. He's sort of outside of that because of the sort of humour, But no, this is one I think it was about £1.50 in charity shop. It's one that I sort of really like to have. One of my favourite films ever, North by Northwest. Again, probably about £1. Sort of film that I watched as a kid or saw as a kid. Sort of remember certain scenes really stick in my mind, particularly the crop duster scene. This one on the front, but having watched it multiple times down years, only recently sort of spotted the kid in the Mount Rushmore cafe. If you've seen this film, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the film and you want to watch it, try not to look at the kid in the Mount Rushmore cafe, because it will sort of it'll ruin its sign. I won't say any more. Anyway, yeah, North by Northwest. This film, it's a really good, really hot, sort of a horror film. It's a bit not. It's not like traditional horror. It's more sort of horror as The Walking Dead is horror in that sense, because it's by the same guy as Walking Dead, which might be a bit of a giveaway. It's The Mist. I think it's written by Frank Darabont. No, or screenplay by Frank Darabont, directed by Frank Darabont, who did, at least he was sort of like he created The Walking Dead, but it's got a lot of The Walking Dead about it, and it's got a lot of the same actors. I think it's got Laurie Holden and Melissa McBride, and it's got a lot of that sort of factions and shifting loyalties, and like all these. It's about these people who get holed up in a supermarket when this mist descends outside, and it's full of sort of ghouls and ghoulies that kill people if you walk through the mist. And it's got one of the best endings ever. I'm not going to give it away, but I love the ending of this film of any film I've ever seen. I just love it. It's worth watching just for the ending on its sort of like itself. This last film, again, I don't often pay proper money for films, but in this one I have. An HMV purchase, which sort of blows my mind, because I rarely go and sort of buy stuff in HMV. I'll go in there, but just look at them, look at their stuff. Generally, I go, I wish I could buy that. It's just their prices are too high. But this price, this film is one I've had my own for ages on Amazon. The price would drop every so often, but never quite as low as I wanted it to. This is a film that I watched as a youth, and it fucking terrified me. Not strictly a horror film, but it properly shat me up, and it stayed with me for years. It's called Miracle Mile. It's an Arrow. I think they had a sale on the Arrow releases, and this was $7.99, which is actually quite a good price for a new one. I think that's the CEX price, or it was at the time. Miracle Mile, about a man who meets a woman in LA, and just as sort of a nuclear Armageddon breaks out, and sort of that's pretty much what the film is. So, yeah, it fucking terrified me, but it stuck with me. It's one of those. I've got a taste for doomsday films. I can't really explain it, but that fits the genre. That fits my tastes. Last film. This is a bit of a weird one, bit of a different one. I'll show you. It's just 50p. It's a copy of The Hobbit. But if you look at that there, for your consideration, this is what's known as a screener. And I didn't know what they were or if these even existed until I watched the last series of Curb Your Enthusiasm not that long ago. There's a storyline in it where Larry David, he's playing a version of himself. So one of his enemies steals a load of his screeners because he creates Seinfeld, and he's I don't know if he's an Oscar voter, but he votes in a lot of the award ceremonies. He gets sent copies of films before they're ever released, I think, or no, to review for the voting process. And the plot goes that one of his enemies steals them and then sort of distributes them around Hollywood, and in the end he gets a visit from the feds, because fucking. No, that made it worse. Anyway, yeah, he gets a visit from the feds because screeners, I didn't know this, but screeners, apparently they have some sort of digital imprint which is specific to the person they've sent to. So it's illegal for anyone to watch them other than the person whose name is on the system. So, the plot goes that he somehow it triggers something if somebody else watches it other than the person whose name they're connected to, because they're connected to a specific person, and he gets the visit from the feds and gets arrested. So, and I like that idea. I'm wondering if it's the same, because this is obviously was sent to a BAFTA voter. I'm wondering who this belonged to, but it turned up in a charity shop. Essentially worthless. No actual value, but I just like the idea of them. I'm wondering if I did try and watch this, because it looks like a sort of a burnt DVD. There's just got no graphics on it, and it's all blue. That looks like a burnt. I think it's a DVD. It might be. I don't think it's a Blu-ray. But I'm wondering if I did try and watch this, would the person who it belonged to get a visit from the Rozzers? I think, yeah, it's just, I'd quite like the idea of having a whole collection of these. I think they do sell on eBay, but I'm guessing it's like a little niche collector's thing. But because that's what it was all the awards it was up for on the back. Well, not up for, but before the shortlists were created. But yeah, so that's all the non-games. Fucking, for some reason, I've got a really dry mouth. I think it's probably because I feel like I'm repeating myself. Because I am repeating myself. Right. Games, a bit of retro. This was 99p in a charity shop. Basically worked for the case. The case isn't bad, but it would get me 160 if I traded it in, which I would maybe plan to, but it's not totally complete. It's driver. I think it's got the manual. Yeah, it's got the manual. But like Mega Man X3, see, it's been trimmed down at the top. And also it's missing the spine. I'm wondering if CX will take it. So I might just sort of take the bits out and just use the case. So, do something with the bits sort of later down the line. But again, it's 99p. It's nice to see excuse me. Nice to see PS1 stuff in the charity shops. Separately from that, in my local charity shop, they had a copy of Worms. It wasn't priced. I knew they charged £2 for their games, and I think I actually went back for it because I saw it and I knew I didn't have it. Oddly, I knew I didn't have it because this is sort of something that, I would have thought I would have had, but I knew I didn't have it. It's sort of like a PS1 staple. And I went back for it because, I decided why not. And she said £3, and it wasn't one price I minded paying. So £3. So, I played a lot of this at university, and I really, really enjoyed it. But it's the sort of game like Mario Party that lives and dies as a multiplayer experience, because as a single player experience, it's fucking miserable. there's so much fun as a multiplayer experience, but single player just no. And I can't ever see me playing this as a sort of with friends in the future. But that's maybe why I didn't pick. I've got a feeling I might have owned this and just traded it in, but it was a double case one, and I thought, £3 I don't mind. So it's in decent nick. So, and like I said, like with Driver, it's just nice to see sort of older stuff, PS1 stuff, in charity shops. And if with PS1 stuff, because it's sort of like my wheelhouse. I'm always, if it's not bog standard sports, stuff that I just get for the cases, I'm always going to sort of might just dip my toes in at least, and that's pretty much what that is. So yeah, right. This was £2.99 in a charity shop. Most of this, some charity shop stuff, not all. £2.99 in a charity shop. The interesting thing about this, it's Minecraft story mode, so £2.99. This will be traded. Is I took it to the counter and the guy goes, "Are you into games?" I went, "I am." And the light bulb went off in my head. Ping! And he goes, "What sort are you into?" And I was telling him what I'm into, and he listed it all down on a bit of paper. And I went, what's he doing? And he went into the back and he brought out a big white bin bag full of games. I think, shit, yes. And I looked through it all, and none of it was worth having. Lots of Wii shovelware, middle of the road PS2 games. I think they had a few of the Jak and Daxters, maybe the Ratchet and Clanks. The best thing they had was a Smash Bros on the Wii, but it didn't have a disc, and it was lots of PC games and stuff. And I sort of took this back to the counter and I went, "Oh, sorry, mate, yeah, but I've had a look. It's good stuff, but I had to sort of explain why I didn't want any of you'd gone to the effort of going into the back and getting all this stuff out. So I had to, I try not to be guilted into buying something I didn't really want. But yeah, so £2.99. I think. What's this? Let me just peruse my cheat sheet. Where is it? On here somewhere. This will get me £7 credit. So it's not bad, I suppose. Yeah. I don't think it's got a manual in it. No. And I've got a feeling the disc isn't perfect, so it might not pass muster. So I'll whack that there. Right. 2 CX purchases, again with actual cash. Like I said, with my credit, I'm not really prepared to fritter it away, and these would have constituted frittering it away. They're more novelties, sort of interesting little cheap things that had made it onto my PS2 list because they're PS2 games, but quite a way down. I think the series, they're not really a series. They're more of a sort of like a style genre, they're Japanese games. I think is it Chibi. I don't know the style exactly, but Seek and Destroy. This was 50p, and Road Trip Adventure £2. This one in particular, I was in Computer Exchange and I randomly had a 50p in my pocket, and I knew it's on my list, and it's not in bad nick. So yeah, and pretty much the same with that. I had a few sort of coins in my pocket, and I knew they were on my list. They're weird sort of racing games, basic racing games. Or this one's a racing game. This one's more of a sort of I think they're basically RPG light. With this weird thing where the cars and the vehicles are characters. I think I discovered them on one of Metal Jesus Rock's videos, and I think there's about four or five games of that similar style on the PS2. I think there's Penny Racers, Gadget Racers, and Choro Q. And I think the two worth having are Gadget Racers and Choro Q, but they're the most expensive by a mile. I think they're about £20 games. I think Penny Racers is about £1.50, and sort of I think as a rule the good ones are the more expensive ones. But they don't look bad. They're just sort of a bit like this one. The cars handle like oil tankers, I think. But they're sort of more novelties. But interesting, worth having, but nothing that's really gonna blow your mind. I think they're more, like I said, they're weird because they're like RPGs, but the characters are tanks or cars. Odd, but right. This is where we get to sort of online purchases. Things that actually cost money. Not this one really. Actually, this was a random purchase via Amazon. I think it was Momox. I've had experience of Momox in the past. I think in the past I ordered a copy of Rule of Rose via eBay, and it was 40 quid. I'm like, fucking yes, 40 quid for Rule of Rose. But then they refunded me almost straight away. And then I didn't know that sort of what's the word? I can't think. I think I had a second go at Momox, and exactly the same thing happened. And then this turned up via Amazon, again through Momox. And I thought, it's cheap enough, I'm going to give it a go, because it was, I'm losing my track. Oh, what a shit video! Yeah, it was it was Momox, but I thought, fuck it, it's cheap enough, and I'll expect it not to turn up. But then I got an email saying that it had been dispatched. So fucking brilliant. German version of quite an uncommon PS2 game. I think it's Sly. Still Lance Arena International, like a arena-based mech game. Looks really good. German version, there's a British version of this, but the British version is a lot less common and costs a lot more. This was a total $5.44. That's $2.99 plus postage. I think whatever that works out is $2.45 postage. I think the UK version is sort of infinitely more expensive, maybe at about 30-40 quid. It plays in English, so I thought I don't mind for now having the German version. I'll just sort of keep an eye out for a British version. If one never turns up, then it's not a massive loss. But it does look very good. So that was a nice little purchase via Amazon, even though it's German, because it's got a little thing on it. Yeah. Right, actual money now. These were two games that were, at the time, worth significant money, and I think when I say that a whole load they had reissues, and a whole load was pretty much dumped online sort of across, lots of different websites, and the price came right down. A load of people bought them up and then dumped them on Computer Exchange. Computer Exchange prices hadn't changed at the time, so Computer Exchange has still got a load of copies. And this is going back a month or so. And they came from another website that had got them sort of like a lot cheaper. And you might know, it's two 3DS games, two quite sought after 3DS RPGs, two Shin Megami Tensei games, Soul Hackers and Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, and Devil Summoner Soul Hackers and Devil Survivor 2, what was it? Record Breaker. Yeah, I think these were reprinted, and not a few months ago, a load of copies turned up in Computer Exchange, and they had them for about over 100 quid. I think these were 43 each, so that's one of the reasons. So 43 each. My screensaver cutting. Did my face panic? I've got this. It's got a habit of doing that exactly when I'm sort of making a video, because I forget, and it just went. Ooh. I bet my face went ooh like that. But yeah, yeah. These were 43 each, so 86 quid in one go. But they were definitely worth having. They're still readily available via Base. I got them via base.com. I think other people have got them as well. So they're worth having. But it's about the cheapest you can get. I think at one point Amazon had copies for 33 quid. So, sort of, but I never actually saw any sort of like in stock at that price. But so basically, I think CEX sort of been stitched up, but then almost their own fault, because their prices didn't really sort of move with the times. So now they've got a whole load of stock, and their prices are coming down incrementally, but then they can never come down that much because they'll lose too much. So I'm guessing they'll probably wait the long game and keep their prices at a certain level until hoping that they come back up. But these are so common now that that might never happen. But two games I really wanted but was never willing to pay the £100+ that they were worth at the time, but now they're worth a lot less. They're a lot more accessible. So I thought, yeah, why not? I do sort of think that they don't come with any manual and stuff. They're literally just the case. Sorry, the case and the cartridge. But isn't I think this one was a DS game, isn't it? Or were they both? They're probably both PS1 games or something, or Saturn games. I think this one was definitely a Saturn game, like a Japanese-only Saturn game. But I think they probably both were. But yeah, definitely two games I was really interested in, and that was the only way I was really going to afford them. Was sort of if the price came down, it did. And also I wasn't really prepared to pay CX's price at the time. I had the credit at the time, but you know. Right. This was Momox as well. No, it wasn't. No, no. What am I talking about? This wasn't Momox. This was Amazon US. I think this was a sort of right place, right time sort of thing. Again, thought I was going to get. I paid £33 for this. Thought I was going to get lumped with a load of import fees. Didn't. Luckily, didn't. Don't know how I didn't, but I didn't. Maybe that's factored in somehow via Amazon, but I didn't. An interesting DS game, weird DS game, sort of crosses genres. Something that really piqued my interest. I've known about it for quite a while because it's an odd sort of concept idea. Used to be able to get it in Computer Exchange, but it's a US only. It's one of those ones that sort of popped up on their stock lists, but never had any copies in stock. I used to look every so often to see if they did because they had it for about £4, and I knew it would go for way more than that. And they never had any in stock. Not that common on eBay either, especially in this country. And if I wanted a copy, I would have had to import it, and pay import fees and a lot of shipping. It's Nights in the Nightmare, and it's sealed. It's got a dodgy seal on it, which makes it look really shifty, but it's legit. I'm probably going to open it because it's got that hole in it. But, it's like a hybrid of a bullet hell shooter and strategy RPG, which sounds nuts, but it's just really piqued my interest. I think it can go for about £60 on eBay. So £33 was pretty much a no-brainer, but almost half price, or about half price. Yeah, what am I saying? Third time lucky. That was it. Here's a PS2 version of this, and PSP version of this, and I was debating which version to go for. But then because of the style of the game, it made sense that, being that sort of odd hybrid bullet hell shooter strategy RPG, that it made sense that the DS was the one to go for. PSP would purely been about, D-pads and stuff, but it made more sense on the DS, and luckily one popped up that was in my price range, and it's brand new. So, and it turned up, and I didn't have to pay import fees. Yeah, right. Last 4 bits. Getting there. Fucking hell, I don't know how long this video is, but probably approaching an hour now, so I'll carry on. Some Mega Drive games popped up in a local charity shop. Nothing massively mind-blowing, but still Mega Drive games. Not really. They weren't really bottom-end stuff. They were just good enough to be interesting and to sort of, sort of create some sort of sense of nostalgia, because these things are sort of so uncommon now. I'm just going to buy them for nostalgia's sake, and that's probably not the best reason to buy stuff. But none of the games I had, one of them in particular, it sort of piqued my interest because it was I think it was an Amiga game that I remember playing on my mate's Amiga, or at least the sequel was, or this one, I can't remember. But this was definitely one that I was going to have. The manager's an interesting bloke. He knew his stuff. I figured out he's a gamer. He was telling me about how to get Knights of the Round in Final Fantasy VII, which I'd never done. So we were having whole discussions about computer games, which I thought, well, he clearly knows his stuff. So I understood why he'd priced them as it was, because he'd individually priced these games, which makes sense. And his prices were generally pretty good. They were all sort of eBay price, but maybe half, maybe 2/3, around about that. So definitely worth having. I ended up buying one to begin with, and then going back the next day and getting two more because I thought, I can't really let them go. This is one I got on its own. Lotus Turbo Challenge, I think. Is it? Is there an Amiga version of this game, or is it the Lotus Turbo Challenge 2? Or is there an Amiga version of both of them? But I've definitely played one of these on the Amiga. And so this is one that I had looked at in the past. It's in decent nick. It's only £3. Apparently it's about a sort of £6 or £7 game, I think. Or I'd looked it up and it was. There are a few who have gone for that at least. I've turned the manual around. The manual's a bit bashed. Turned the manual around. Looks like a fag butt burn mark, but it's there. The front cover's a little bit curly, but so yeah, that was that, and it came with, because where is it? Bugger, it's on the floor. That's because I took these to the counter and he goes, oh, he sort of turns out he's a bit of a salesman. He's an odd bloke. He's an odd bloke, but he's also a bit of a salesman. He knows sort of when to sort of turn it on. He's very officious. He's got an odd look about him. Or turns out he was homeless once, so maybe I can sort of understand that. But really good at his job. He's a bit of a salesman. I got this and this and this. So this was £2.50. So yeah, I thought that was a bit of a no-brainer. But obviously, that marked me out as a bit of a gamer. So he tried the hard sell for some of the other Mega Drive games, but at the time I wasn't really buying. But yeah, he was telling. What did he tell me? He's telling me about. He ended up telling me about how he'd spent time on the streets, and the local council had offered to buy him a sleeping bag, but then they were thinking of like a £20 job, and he goes, no, if you're going to buy me a sleeping bag, I'm going to need one that's actually going to save my life, because a £20 wouldn't do, and I can respect that. So yeah, an interesting bloke, but then he knew his stuff when it came to computer games as well. So his prices, like I said, he had Road Rash 2, it was well priced. He had Ferrari F1 Challenge. I think so. Nothing massively mind blowing. He had Sonic Collection, which he kept trying to push on me, but I didn't really want it. He had it for £12.50. I think it's worth more than that, maybe £20. I don't know. PGA Tour 2, which was £3. So generally, sort of fair prices. I ended up going back the next day and getting Sonic. Not a game I had, the most ubiquitous Mega Drive game ever, but not one I had. They had two copies of this. I ended up sort of cobbling together a decent one, sort of like on the sly. I sort of pretended I was looking at them and just took the best manual and put it in the best case. On the sly, he didn't notice. He might have picked it up on his CCTV. Sorry, he might have picked it up on his CCTV sort of at the end of the day, but yeah, it was only £3. Turns out that's £3 not bad for Sonic. I would have, but yeah, it's about £5 now. And this was this one I sort of looked up afterwards and sort of went back for it because it looked maybe more interesting than I realised. And it's a Muhammad Ali heavyweight boxing for £7. So do you see where I'm going with the prices? Yeah, £7. Maybe like a £15 game, maybe 10. I don't know. So worth it. And I like that on the back, like Blockbuster, $39.99. Yeah, I sort of discounted it, but then sort of looked it up afterwards and thought, no, actually, that's one I wouldn't mind having. I really like the cover. That sort of you know, it's like the old school sort of boxing posters when you have like two blokes putting up the dukes. Right, getting there. I don't think I've beaten the hour, have I? No, shit. Right, a purchase via who was it? Online music, films and games, OMFG, through eBay, no, Amazon. I tried to buy a copy of Monster Seed from them, but it never turned up. It said it'd been shipped, but it never turned up. I got into contact and they said, "Oh, sorry, it didn't pass our standards for shipping, so we didn't ship it. We didn't tell you." They said, "Oh, you should have got an email." Well, I never got an email. So bastards. Eventually, they told me that it hadn't been shipped, and they eventually gave me a refund, which was brilliant. But so because of that, no, not because of that. I looked on their that was it. They tried to offer me another game, and there was nothing else I wanted. And I think looked on their website to see what else they had available, because they sell via Amazon and eBay and their website. There's nothing I wanted, so they ended up refunding me. But there were other things that I bought before that, if that makes sense. I would have had one of these at least, if I hadn't already bought it. If that makes sense, yeah. And they had an offer at the time. It was 20% off if you buy 2 items for media. And I bought this first just to get the 20% off, and it was one I was interested in, a DVD, so it's not a game. It's Shaolin versus Evil Dead. I've got Gavin Thrift Bites to thank for pointing me in the right direction for this. I confused this with a game I bought, a DVD, Blu-ray, a Blu-ray I bought in my last pickups video called Mr. Vampire. Mistook it for this game. For fuck's sake. Mistook it for this film. Jesus. Yeah, mistook it for this film. And he said, no, Thrift Bite said, no, you're thinking of that. And this is a film I can remember watching years ago and just never knew the title. And it always stuck in my head. And he pointed me in the right direction. And We Buy Books is the website. They're OMFG. So We Buy Books had a copy of this for $3.50, but then 20% off. And the other thing that was sort of definitely more something I was sort of keen to get was Dot Hack GU Volume 1 Rebirth. I do think that I've missed the boat when it comes to PS1 and PS2 RPGs. Not long, maybe the last few years, I had my modded PS2. I think while I was farting around trying to get a cheap one, the prices just went up. I think obviously everybody ended up getting a modded PS1 and PS2 in this country, and the prices have just gone up, because when I first started looking, the prices were affordable, but I don't know. So now there's a whole world full of new buyers for this sort of stuff, because of modded PS2s are a lot more ubiquitous, which is a bit annoying. So when I see, it does look a bit. Does that look? Maybe not. No, I think it's all right. I thought there might be some fade along that spine. But so if I ever see anything that's reasonable like this ended up being £15.12 for this. I'll snap it up, because I've got most of the PAL games I want. So I'm now more looking at the import stuff. So that £15.12 was decent. The thing is, I thought when I ordered it, well, this is clearly going to turn up. It's going to be Japanese, because they still had a Japanese copy for sale. I was thinking, oh, they've clearly fucked up. They've just not removed it from the listings. It turned up and it was all right. It's actually, and I thought they'd missed the disc, but they hadn't. Apparently, it does only come with one disc. So generally, I was thinking the worst all the way along, but no, it turned out it was all right. It just needs a new case. The case is a bit knacked, and there's a little rip there. So not too bad otherwise. So I think it ended up working out. So yeah, and these two came to, I can't remember how much, but about 17 something in total because with the 20% off. So yeah. Last two, an auction. I actually won an auction. I put on a bid in the last, I think it was the last few seconds actually. I often do that, and usually I'll just put in a decent bid in a decent amount of time, and hope if I win, I win. And I think I bid with about 5 minutes to go. Somebody tried to outbid me in the last few seconds, but I ended up winning. Yeah, Grandia 3 on the PS2. Like I said, this was sort of, affordable, not unaffordable. So many of those PS2 and PS1 games, particularly the ones I'm interested in, are really unaffordable now. So, and I loved the Grandia series. So, Grandia 3 was always one I was interested in. I can't remember how much this was, but this was through a UK bidder, so it made more sense because, like I said, if I was going to go the US way, I would have ended up paying sort of for postage and import fees on top, probably. So yeah, this was a decent purchase. And last one, this was via Momox through Amazon. Again, didn't expect it to turn up because of the experience I've had with Momox in the past, but it did. This is another RPG. This used to be available through multiple sources. I could have got it from that Video Games Plus. They used to sell a double pack of this and another game for probably about the price I paid for this, but then the prices have gone up and they don't sell them anymore, so it's just our sake. But this turned up and it was a decent price. It wasn't too much, but you definitely could have got it for cheaper than this. But I thought, fuck it. If I don't buy them now, again, I'm going to sort of procrastinate, and the prices are just going to keep them going up. So this was about 22 quid, I think. Or was it? It might have even been more than that. I think it was. No, 24.78. So not too bad. 24.78. Tales of the Abyss. They used to be able to get a double pack with this and Tales of Legendia for about $30 Canadian or something. But like an idiot, I procrastinated, and used to be able to get on his own for significantly less, about 15 quid. Again, didn't buy it and ended up having to pay quite a bit more via Amazon. Yeah, but again, I've got quite a decent little pile of import PS2 games and PS1 games in my collection now, and that's sort of, like I said, because I've got most of the power games that I'm interested in. So it makes sense that if I see import games at decent prices, then I'm going to have a punt. And this was definitely one that I was interested in. There's a 3DS game, but I probably won't get the 3DS version anymore. That's going up in price slightly as well. So, yeah. And I know both versions of the... this is a remake of the PS1 game, I think. I get confused because there's Tales of Destiny, or was it? I don't know. Is there a Tales of the Abyss on the PS1? I'm sure there is, but... Yeah, fuck it. It's way over an hour now. Hour and 10 minutes, probably. I'm going to let you go. This is a fucking shit video, I know. I've got a really dry voice, and I definitely felt like I was repeating myself. So I'm just going to cut my losses. I really need a piss as well. So I'm going to let you go. Thanks for watching, and I'm going to see if I can edit this monstrosity into something watchable. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Bye. Hopefully the sound's all right. If it's not, I'm going to kill myself. Bye.